All right. Yeah. So just the last lesson which we completed, in that we were learning about what are the things that are going inside our earth. We learned about the rock cycle, and then we also learned about how different kinds of rocks are formed and how this formation is a continuous process which we called as a rock cycle. We learned mainly about the three different kinds of rocks like igneous rocks, sedimentary rocks, metamorphic rocks, and then we also learned the reasons why these rocks are actually formed. What is the reason for the different ways in which all these rocks look? Okay. So, going forward in trying to understand our Earth, there is one thing which you need to understand, that in your sixth standard you would have learned that our Earth is a dynamic planet. This word was used in our sixth standard, that Earth is a dynamic planet. This word dynamic was used because our Earth is a planet which constantly keeps on changing. It is not always steady. Changing in the sense, the way in which the water bodies are formed, the way in which oceans are formed, the way in which the weather patterns change, climates change, and not only on the outside, even in the inside, under the surface, you can only see the surface, but you don't see what is happening inside. So here we will learn the inside story. What is happening inside the earth and what are the changes which we normally don't see. And the best part about these changes is it is happening constantly. Every day, every single day, our earth changes. Very similar to how you change, how you grow, and how your appearance changes over the year. This year you would be slightly taller than you were last year, right? This is because your body is growing. In the same way, our earth also is growing, and the only difference between the growth of the earth and your growth is the earth is billions of years old. Totally our earth, no, it is 4.6 billion years old. Billion with a b. That is how old our earth is. And you can only imagine that you are hardly what now, most of you would be, if I'm not mistaken, around 12 years, right? So your 12 years of age and the earth's experience of 4.6 billion years, you can only imagine what and all changes the earth would have seen by now. How many changes the earth would have gone through to be in today's position. And this change will continue. It is not like today it will stop changing. This change will continue. This change will go on for years and years together. Even after we are no longer here on this planet, our future generations will continue to experience all these changes. Right. So in the last previous chapter, we learned about all the different layers. We learned about the outermost crust. Then we learned about the mantle, and then we learned about the innermost core. These three layers which are there in the earth, and the innermost core is the hottest part of the earth. All these things we had learned in our last chapter. So there are so many changes which happen on our earth, and these changes are responsible for the formation of mountains, as we have seen mountains. They are responsible for the volcanoes. There are so many times we have seen in the news, you would have seen on National Geographic Channel, volcanoes erupting. So the changes which happen inside the earth are responsible for the eruption of volcanoes outside the earth. There are different kinds of rock formations, multiple type of rock formations. We will learn all those different types of rock formations in this chapter. There are different kind of land formations like deltas, sea arch, sand dunes, so many multiple different kinds of land. It is nowhere, not even a single spot on earth you will see that one place looks exactly similar like the other place. Nowhere you will see, unless and until human beings have done some kind of modification. But otherwise, whatever is naturally occurring will look extremely different. No two points you will find as similar looking. So, there are two main forces which are responsible for all these changes that you see on our earth. These two forces are categorized into two parts. One is called as an endogenic change and another one is called as a exogenic change. Endogenic change or endogenic force is something which is applied inside the body, inside the earth. It is not visible to us. It is not visible to our naked eye. It is happening continuously inside the surface of the earth. It could be happening in the core. It could be happening in the mantle, and outside it has effect on the outside surface of the earth. So these are forces which are exerted deep inside the surface of the earth, not visible to us. And the next one is the exogenic force, which are forces which are happening outside, which is very much visible to us. And slowly and certainly, these forces are responsible for many of the changes that we see on the land surface, in the water bodies, on the outside of the earth. So, endogenic forces, exogenic forces, two types of forces which are responsible for the different kinds of changes which happen on our planet. Okay, I would just want to inform all the students who have joined here that please join on time. The class starts at 9 o'clock. The notification has been sent in the morning itself, well before the class starts. So please join on time. Schedule, the new schedule which we will be following from today has already been posted about 2 days back. Yesterday again it was posted. So please do join on time. Otherwise, you will be missing the classes that are going on. Okay. So till now, whatever we just did a small brief introduction to the changes which are happening inside the earth. We're trying to understand what these changes are, and we learned that there are two kinds of forces mainly responsible for these two changes. That is the endogenic change and the exogenic change. So anybody has any doubts till now? Okay. So if there are no doubts, we will continue with the lesson. So now first let us learn in detail the endogenic forces, means the forces that are happening inside the earth, the inside story, the andar ki baat which is happening inside our earth. We will learn about these endogenic forces and we will see the effect of these endogenic forces in on the surface of the earth. Okay, so we will learn about the endogenic forces. Second lesson of geography is already completed. Where were you? Are you sleeping? 2 weeks back, we had completed the second lesson. Okay. So, endogenic forces. This refers to the force that occurs beneath the surface of the earth, deep inside the earth's core. heat is generated. There is plenty of heat in the center part of our earth, which is called as the core. We have the liquid core and we have the solid core, and this generates immense amount of heat. Immense means immense amount of heat, because our earth is actually a planet which is still in the process of cooling. Even though billions of years have passed since our earth was created, but still it is in the process of cooling, and the centermost part of the earth, which is there, is still extremely hot. So this heat tries to find a way of escaping. This heat is something which is not going to stay steady over there. It will not remain in the same spot. It will move, because heat tries to find a way to escape. It's trying to come out from that center and trying to release itself, and that is why this heat will get transferred slowly from the core. It will go slowly towards the mantle, and then it will go to the crust, and then outside it comes. This is how the heat moves. So this movement we will see in the movement in the type of lava, whichever we have seen coming out from the volcano. That is lava erupting from the center of the earth. So this tries to somehow find its way, make space between all those layers of earth, and it forces itself out. And in this process of forcing itself out from the center of the earth, it's going to push some things away. It is going to push away a few parts, like large pieces of rocks and all that, which are in the center of the earth. All these things it will push away here and there, and in this process of pushing we will see movement. Now, our Earth's surface, where we see continents, right? We have continents. We have Asian continent. We have the African continent. We have the Australian continent. We have the North and South American continent. We have the European continent, and then, of course, the continents of the North and South Pole. Now, these continents, basically, in geographic terms, these huge masses of land which we have, they are called as plates. In geographic terms, they are called as tectonic plates. This is a geographical term for continent. Tectonic plates means it is like huge plates. You know, plates, right? In your home, wherever, whenever you have food, your mummy will keep one huge plate in front of you and serve you food, right? So similar to that, our earth's surface, the land masses, are called as tectonic plates. Now, these plates which are there are in a constant state of moving because of the forces which are being exerted from the center of the earth. Because of the force which is trying to push away the lava and the heat from the center of the earth, it pushes these plates. And this movement of these plates, which are seen, very small movement, okay. Now I'm not talking about huge amount of movement. Whenever we do see huge amount of movement, sudden movement, that is when that is going to result in something like a earthquake. When these plates move with a sudden force, too much of force being applied right from the center, that is when we see a earthquake. But when there is a slight movement, and this slight movement, this movement of few millimeters, not centimeters, not feet, a few millimeters movement happens every day, and every year this few millimeter movement keeps on happening continuously in different direction. Now this idea of movement of these plates is called as plate tectonics. They are called as tectonic activity or tectonic plates. Means the idea of these plates moving. So there are totally 20 lithospheric plates of different sizes. So our entire Earth, which is there, is actually made up of around 20 of such plates, and they are commonly known as tectonic plates. And so endogenic forces cause something like earthquakes, tsunamis, volcanoes. All these things are a result of endogenic force. Whenever an earthquake occurs on the surface of the land, it is visible to us. We can see the effects of that earthquake. We can see houses fall. We can see plenty of damage to land and property. These are the visible earthquakes which we see outside. There are earthquakes which happen in the sea also. And if you ask any scientist or geographer, he will tell you that there are more earthquakes which happen in the oceans than which happen on the surface of the earth, because we all know that total our earth is covered by 70% of oceans water, and remaining 30% only is land, right? So the number of earthquakes which happen in the oceans is much more, and sometimes these earthquakes which happen in the ocean are so huge, so powerful, we get something which is called as a tsunami. A tsunami is when this land mass shifts in the bottom of the ocean, and because of the shifting of the land mass in the bottom of the ocean, it results in shifting of the water. And the water shifting is going to cause a huge, gigantic wave. A gigantic wave. Tsunami is basically a Japanese word which also means as a wall of water. Tsunami is a Japanese word which means wall of water. So this underground earthquakes cause shifting in the water, and the water is going to come out like a huge tsunami, means a land of wall of water. And then of course volcanoes also, which many of you would have popularly seen on National Geographic, that the land mass on top opens up and hot flowing lava comes shifting or pouring out from the center of the earth. These are all the ways in which we can see the endogenic forces, the action or the result of endogenic forces on the surface, which we can see. Yes. So, as I was telling you about the tectonic plates, these are the major tectonic plates which are there on our Earth. The Earth's crust is cracked, and the pieces of the Earth's crust formed by the cracks are called as tectonic plates. The plates are commonly moving, means very slowly, a few millimeters every year, but this movement is constant. It does happen, and it is a sure thing. Every year, this movement guaranteed it will happen. So, has everybody understood about this tectonic plates? Who is not able to hear me? Why are you asking about notes and all that in this when I'm teaching something? If you have a doubt, you can always post in the doubts, in the school app, or we can you can ask me after the class is over. At the end of the class, I will give time for you to ask your doubts. Shushti putti. Okay, Bagi, Santosh Bagi is telling that he cannot hear me. What about the others? Is no one able to hear me? Okay, Siddhant is fine. He can hear me. I think only Bagi has a problem. If there is a problem, please log out and log in. Okay, Shreya Aki says I am audible. That's fine, good. Okay, no doubt. Okay, yeah. So coming back to the lesson, uh, if anyone has a doubt, you can ask to me now. So everything is clear, right? Good. Right. Okay, cool. Okay, so back to the lesson. Yeah, so that was about tectonic plates. Let us learn a little bit more about earthquakes. An earthquake is a sudden tremor or movement of the Earth's crust which originates naturally at or below the surface. What causes earthquakes? Sudden movement of tectonic plates. Earth's surface is subject to endogenic forces occurring from beneath the Earth's surface. This force makes the plates move at a very slow speed. However, a sudden movement of tectonic plates triggers a earthquake. Seismometer or a seismograph, these two instruments, this instrument basically is used for recording the Earth's movements, and this that is also called as a Richter scale, on which the quantity of movement is recorded. So in the news, if you have any time seen the news about an earthquake, you will hear that an earthquake of the magnitude of 6 has hit Japan, or earthquake of magnitude 8 has hit Japan, or maybe an earthquake of magnitude 4 or 5 has hit Nepal. So the higher the magnitude of this earthquake, it is more destructive on the surface of the earth. So normally we see earthquake magnitudes of up to 8. 8 magnitude is supposed to be the highest and the most destructive. Most amount of destruction will be caused by earthquake which has a magnitude of 8. Magnitude means the force of that earth, the magnitude. And earthquake with magnitudes 1 or 2 and all are very small earthquakes which might occur normally on a day-to-day basis and we might not even feel it. So that is how the force of a earthquake is measured using a seismograph or a seismometer. If anyone is not able to hear me, please log out and log in. Okay. So now this earthquake has a central point from where actually all this force is being erupting out, where the force is coming out. This center point in geographic term, it is called as epicenter. The epicenter, that is the center of the earth from where the force moves out. It is the point of origin of the earthquake. Sudden movement occurs deep below the crust or mantle, causing the tectonic plates to move vigorously. Concentric shock waves. Concentric means one circle, above that another circle, around that another circle. Those are called as concentric. Means it keeps on traveling outside. You can see the diagram on the screen over here for you. You will see those round yellow circles, right? So those are called as concentric shock waves. Generate from this point determines the extent and the damage caused. So since the focus point is often deep below the surface, it is very difficult to map because the center or the epicenter of the earthquake is very much deep inside the mantle of the earth. From outside, it is difficult to actually pinpoint where this exact epicenter could be. But from that particular point, in concentric shock waves, the shock waves are generated and it travels outside to the surface of the earth. Okay, in case students are not able to hear me anyway, we are doing a recording of this. I will post the recording in the same lecture. You can watch that. Okay. Yeah. So more about the epicenter. It is the point on the Earth's surface which is directly above the focus. It is most commonly used to describe the point or concentration of an earthquake. The strength and magnitude of an earthquake is measured on the Richter scale. An earthquake whose measurement is above 7 on the Richter scale can cause major damages. Earthquakes are now measured using the movement or magnitude scale. This measure the seismic waves during the earthquake. So this was all about earthquakes. Right. So does anybody have any doubts about how earthquakes are caused? What is the result of these earthquakes? Why are students talking? This is creating a lot of noise over here. What is the problem? Huh? R. Pujar. Who is this Pujar? What is this problem? Why are you talking when I am teaching over here? Okay. So till here is today's lesson. Remaining part we will continue tomorrow. If anybody has any doubts, you can ask me.